I'll now quickly run around and introduce everybody. So we have got Simon Mustoe. He's the founder of Wild Diaries. So Simon, if you can just give us a quick wave.
Hello.
Yep. Then we've got Rob Pennicott from Pennicott Wilderness Journeys down there. So Rob's there. And then we have Craig and Ben from Pepperbush Adventures. They do a lot of wildlife touring up in mainly in the northeastern part of Tasmania, but they sort of do go everywhere, all over Tazi. So I'd like to welcome our panellists today, and we'll kick off with a couple of quick questions then. Maybe we'll get both panellists to tackle this one, but what does make Tazi so special? Rob, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Look, it's a very special place. I'd say it's raw beauty, it's beautiful national parks, it's quirky people that are very authentic, and fantastic wildlife. We have incredible food and beverage offerings, and it's like a place to step back in time a little bit. We lack the number of people, so that's probably, and obviously for me, the waterways and the animals in the waterways as well.
Fantastic. You got anything to add, Craig or Ben?
Well, I think Rob's hit the nail on the head, but yeah, Tasmania's very laid back. Time doesn't matter, nobody cares. Probably in our, four of our biggest assets, is like we said, is our wilderness, our wildlife, our food and our wine. Yep. We're pretty lucky. Ben?
Yeah, the sparse population creates a lot of pristine wilderness, which is there for us to explore.
Mm-hmm. That leads into one of the questions one of the people put in earlier is, have you noticed an increase in the wildlife activity with a reduced number of visitors and self-drivers tootling around the state at all?
According to figures, that there's been quite a large decline in the loss of the life on the roads of animals because of the lack of people driving around, which is a good thing. Mm. Yeah, you know, so it's still quite abundant.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Now, I might go to Rob quickly. Rob, just quickly describe some of the touring that you do, and then I'm going to ask you about one of your specific tours that really fascinates me. So if you can just give a brief rundown on your product.
Well, I started in 1999 Bruny Island Cruises, which is a small boat that takes up to 43 passengers. We show underneath the high sea cliffs in the southern hemisphere, caves, blowholes, millions of locals, which are the animals, which is the birds, seals, dolphins, whales. We have a couple of other tours of similar formula to that. We do a land-based tour based around food and meeting the makers. We've got Wilson's Promontory Cruises, which we started about a year ago in Victoria. And we've got Seafood Seduction, where we jump in and hunt and gather from the water. Just when I get a day off, it's what I do. So it's quite enjoyable, all that sort of day. But we've been operating for 21 years and we've got incredibly passionate staff about what we do.
That's the Seafood Seduction is the one that piqued my interest. So does that depart from Hobart, or how does that tour operate?
Yes, that one departs from Hobart. We actually go out of Hobart towards Bruny Island, and sometimes we're in the sheltered waters of the Doncaster Channel. Other times we're on the outside if the weather's calm on the outside. We jump in and get abalone. We take live lobster. We have a bottomless pit of fresh oysters done different ways. We've got sea urchin that we jump in and get. We have incredibly fresh seafood, Tasmanian produce, wash it down with beautiful wines, beers, ciders and organic juices and water. And it's a full day activity. It goes from 9:30 in the morning to about 4:30 at the end of the day.
And how many people can you run on that tour as a maximum generally?
Maximum group size is 12 people, and we very often go with very low numbers. We don't have minimum numbers, but 12 is our maximum.
Yeah, so it's a nice, intimate and specialised experience. Sounds amazing. Yeah. So, Craig, one of your most recognised tours is the Quoll Patrol. Maybe you can just give people a little insight into what's involved in a tour of the Quoll Patrol tour.
Well, I think I might just throw Ben over to this one.
Sure. I've got some questions for him too, don't worry.
Yeah, the Quail Patrol, it's pretty much been our biggest selling product. It incorporates a bit of landscape and scenery through the course of the day. We go up to Ben Lomond National Park, see some stunning landscapes up there, and make our way to a remote location for an evening meal and cook up a few courses around a campfire, and the wildlife slowly reveals itself getting towards twilight.
Mm-hmm. And is that involves a dinner, a campfire dinner, or?
Depending on the departure and what time the tour starts, but it's fully catered for.
Yeah.
So it's very laid back, beautiful scenery, and the animals sort of come right up to the cabin, to the people. And you get a very, very close encounter. So obviously we have 3 to 4 course dinner, Tassie wines and beers. And kangaroos not very far away.
Uh-huh. So they're used to the humans being there eating, and they just come down at night time and just graze away.
Wander down and just wander around the campfire, and you can sort of more or less reach out and touch them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all pretty much laid back, very casual.
Yeah.
Different.
And, yep, no, it sounds good. And what are some of the unique wildlife that you get down there in Tassie?
Well, there's 34 species in Tasmania. We've got 5 endemic. But probably up there with our Quail Patrollers, you're generally going to see at least a minimum of 6 to 7 species. That's pretty much guaranteed, which would include wombats, possums, quolls, paddymellons, wallabies, kangaroos. There's also devils up there, spotted-tailed quolls, bandicoots, both species. An abundance of bird life.
Mm-hmm.
So some nights some days you might end up with 13 species.
Okay.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, so wildlife paradise.
It is basically, yeah. Very much so.
That's fantastic. Now, Rob, on a lot of your cruises, there's the bird life obviously is quite spectacular. Can you outline some of the amazing bird species that you see on your cruises?
Sure, we get the short-tailed shearwater, and we also get the sooty shearwater. We get probably about 4 or 5 different types of albatross. We get the Australasian gannets, a few different types of gulls. We see penguins on calm days. The white-bellied sea eagle, we usually very rare to do a trip without seeing a number of those. The wedgies, the wedge-tailed eagles we often get, and we get the common diving petrels, the fairy prions, and I'm sure there's some that I'm not thinking of, but that's probably the majority.
Yep, looks spectacular. Beautiful. Now, Ben, one for you. We've had some questions about hiking. Obviously, Tasmania is very well known for its extended walking tours, but one of the people's asked about just walking with a day pack, so just doing day walks. You got some ideas around the state, some different regions you can do that?
We've done hiking around Mount William National Park in the northeast, and Ben Lomond National Park, in the central northeast. So there's diverse options there if you want to do easy going, gradual climb hikes, or you can do something a little bit more serious.
You could go around Victoria as well, and a lot of other national parks pretty close that you can do any level.
Yep.
Walking if you want.
And accommodation-wise, where do people need to locate themselves if they want to be able to undertake those day walks?
Well, we're in the northeast, which is Scottsdale basically, which is in the centre of the northeast corner. So from there, we offer a lot of 3 to 5 day trips, because you can actually go out from there, use that as a base. Mm-hmm. Just go do 5 different walks in 5 days.
Yep. Okay,
and you're not travelling huge distances either, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And so that's from the one accommodation base you pick people up from?
Yep. There are other options as well, of course, but Scottsdale's a good base for us. It's a mixture of wildlife, hiking, food and wine. Vineyards are very close, so it's just a really good central place.
Yeah. So you're nearest to the Tamar Valley Vineyards? Because a few people have asked about the food and wine trails in Tassie.
Yeah, we actually do have quite a couple of really good vineyard tours. And so it's a mixture of probably the more established vineyards and a lot of the older ones that you get to behind the scenes to meet the owners, the makers, and they're behind the counter. Mm-hmm. And some excellent food options too.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if we've got the more adventurous people listening in, I know that there's a few great adventure activities in different parts of the state. Have you someone want to touch on some of those activities like mountain biking and abseiling?
Do you want to go for it, Craig, or do you want me to have a bit of a chat?
There's a lot of options around Derby because mountain bike around here, of course, but you've got Hollybank as well, and there's just a lot of places you can go to in the northeast. But yeah, jump in there, Rob. You can get a few.
Yeah. Well, one of my favourite places is flying in to Melaleuca, which is down the west coast, and the reflections you get if you go down there on a day that's calm is something like I've never experienced in my life. And going out, through the Tannin waters out towards Bathurst Harbour and out to the Heads is one of my favourite things. You don't have to be really active to be able to do it, but the raw beauty of what we put you into on that, it's not one of our products, but it's something that's very special. But Tazi's really good at niche products. Someone like Craig and Ben, small group sizes, something very personal and special. And likewise with the mountain biking, there's a lot of people now doing pods associated with mountain biking, and the walks that you can do are of various scales and then get spoiled at the end of the day with lovely accommodation and open fires and the food and beverages that you get. It's a really nice way to go. And the weather in Tassie can be anything from beautiful blue skies to really wild, but the wild days is so beautiful, and you just wrap up for those and enjoy it, and it's nothing that a glass of red wine doesn't fix at the end of the day.
That's right, and a good meal.
Very temporary. You can see Ben's wearing our summer uniform. This is our winter uniform.
Yeah. Short sleeves and long sleeves.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, we've got a specific question about camping near Cradle Mountain. Is there a campground there for pitching a tent, that style of accommodation over there? Does anyone know?
Yeah, they've got cosy cabins up there at Cradle Mountain and places you can camp, I believe. We sort of don't spend a lot of time up there. Probably just a little bit crowded sometimes, but it's some beautiful area, and no doubt about that. But there is a lot of options up there for people that, if you want to go.
Would the National Parks websites be the best to find that information on? Do they run the campgrounds?
Yeah, there's plenty of information there. And if you contact some of the accommodation providers up there, that also point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come up through the lakes as well, and nearly every lake has got beautiful camping. And Lake Barrington, as long as there's not rowing going on at the time, there's some lovely camp spots in there, which is all, very suitable from there to Cradle as well. But you're quite right, the National Parks website is probably where I'd recommend. Okay. Now we have a question from a family member, I think. Craig, what are the best wine that's available in the Tamar Valley? What's it well known for? What a variety of wines?
Well, it's a very unique place because on one side of the valley, it's very similar to Champagne, France. So it's produced some excellent, amazing sparkling wines. Mm-hmm. On the other side, a place that's very much like, it's probably more known for its reds. I'm trying to think of the region now. It'll come to me shortly. Anyway, but the variety of wines down through there is just unbelievable. And you might have 5 vineyards that provide sparkling wines in a 20-kilometre radius, and every one of them is different. Mm-hmm. Just so diverse. Yep. So we produce some really good wines up here.
Yep. Yes, I've tried a few good Tassie sparklings in my time. They're very impressive, and a few Pinot Noirs as well, which are always very nice.
Yeah, well, they're only half an hour away from where we are. But that's where they start. So one area is known as the Sparkling Pipers. Yep. And so on the other side of the river, which is more like Bordeaux, France, so a lot of really good reds over there. Yep. They go back to about 1965. That's probably our earliest ones. Mm-hmm. We're very young industry, but we've come a long way really quickly. Yeah. Award-winning worldwide wines. Yeah.
Caroline, can I just remind everybody who's listening to jump in with as many questions as you like. It's kind of a rare opportunity to have these guys in one place at one time because normally they're all out bush. leading tours and being very busy. So yeah, don't be afraid to jump in, put a question to us and we'll answer it as soon as you do.
So Rob, one question I often got asked, for Bruny Island, can rental cars go on the ferry, or if people are self-driving down to do one of your cruises, or are they best off jumping on the coach from Hobart?
Look, even though we do offer a coach from Hobart, you want to read the fine print. Some rental car companies allow you to come to Bruny Island. Some don't insure cars that do come to Bruny. So if you are thinking of coming and you are going to rent a car, before you sign your life away, just check that they're including Bruny. And I think you'll find 3/4 of them now allow Bruny Island. Some of those do have a higher excess. Others don't have a higher excess, and some don't insure if you do go to Bruny.
Okay. And
but the good news now on Bruny is it's only really from Lunawanna down to the lighthouse, which is about 10 k's that's unsealed. The rest of Bruny Island now is sealed, other than going to Dens Point, which is not in the, it's a beautiful spot, but it's left off the ferry instead of right. And so Bruny Island's only about 63 kilometres long and on average probably about 5 kilometres wide. It's the same land area of Singapore, but we've got about 900 residents instead of about 5 million.
Wow, sounds amazing. And accommodation-wise, there's different options on the island if people wanted to stay?
Yes, there's plenty of places to camp if you're either in a camper van or a tent with national parks. Then there's one caravan park, and then there's a lot of Airbnbs and also accommodation, probably around about 100 rooms, I'd say, on the island, which, which isn't that many really.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to control numbers, isn't it, too? Not get overrun with too many people. We've had a couple of questions through the chat box here. See if you guys, I'll throw them out to you guys if you want to answer them, or I probably can. The most luxury accommodation at Cradle Mountain to go to if you don't have a vehicle?
Cradle Mountain Lodge, I suppose, is probably the one at the present, but they are going to build a new one down the track, I believe, which is supposed to be pretty good when that comes online. Mm-hmm. But you've got a lot of options up there too. Depending on what you want, whether you want a cabin style, which are really nice, or you're more an open, more a modern place, which is Peppers as well up there. Mm-hmm. Or you've got your cosy cabins, which are a little bit more down market.
Yeah.
Plenty of options.
Yeah. Now, someone's asked about the Bay of Fires walk and the different ways you can do it. I don't know if any of you guys can touch on that, or that might be someone I come back to afterwards with a specific response.
Okay. Oh, there are organised guided tours through the Bay of Fires, which is a 3-day hike from another company. But you can sort of basically go up there yourself and you can walk for hours and not see another person on the beach up there. It's quite a stunning place. Quite a stunning place.
Mm. And another one for you, Craig, is there a tour to see platypus? And how long for a family is good, and what to see?
Well, we sort of don't tend to have any problems finding platypus. So one of our tours, which is actually a mixture of platypus and a vineyard tour, which is called Puggles and Bubbles. Puggles is a baby platypus, which is what you see in the morning. And then we go to about 5 vineyards throughout the day and a lovely restaurant lunch. It was a pretty cushy day.
Sounds very civilised.
Family, but there's also family ones, of course. So generally, most of our tours are like families. They get us for 2 or 3 days. We go different directions and show them as many wildlife species as we can in that time frame. Mm-hmm. That was pretty much guaranteed. We're pretty fortunate up here because of the water quality.
Yeah.
And numerous streams and lakes and rivers, we can find them.
I might just point out that one of the best bits of advice on platypus I ever got from a friend who used to live down in the Huon Valley is the Geeveston platypus. A lot of people don't know about, but just south of, just as you head down south of Hobart to Geeveston, where the road crosses the river, there's a boardwalk on either side. I did have a 100% success record of seeing them there at any time of the day up until last year when I went once and failed for the first time ever. But that's a good spot as well if anyone happens to be driving through, heading down to those southern areas. It's an awesome little spot, and it's usually paddling around broad daylight either side of the main road that goes over the river there. The Geeveston platypus, according to my mates, one of the easiest platypuses in Australia to see.
Yeah, no, sort of, we're saying it was pretty lucky with the waterways up here and access to a lot of private land, so we could pretty much guarantee platypus, and quite often we'll get 5 or 6 in an hour, half an hour, different ones.
I think that's one of the points, that we make often. People ask about self-driving and doing their own thing, and then we often say, well, it's always fantastic to join a tour. And I think Craig's made the perfect point there, is that by joining a tour, they have access to private land, areas that the self-drive tourists may not be able to get to, and you do miss out on some of the absolute little hidden gems by self-driving. So it's nice for people if they want that level of independence, but also we highly recommend joining tours throughout their trip, particularly for wildlife specifically, and also obviously the Bruny Island and Tasman Island cruises are fantastic ways of just learning so much about the region and the state. So people who are listening out there that are often ask us, I want to self-drive, I want to be independent, but we always spruik that that's fine, that's great, we encourage that, but also make sure you do join some tours when you're in the region. So it's the best way to learn is from the locals, and these guys have got so much experience, so it's definitely worth joining a tour or two when you're in Tassie with these fellows. So were you going to add something, Rob, before I really cut you off before?
I was just saying that I spend time living both on Bruny Island and also South Hobart. And in South Hobart, which is probably about 10 minutes from CBD, we've got the Hobart rivulet running through the back of, at the base of our house. And it's very regular that we go down there, and it's only about probably 3 meters wide, and we regularly see platypus even there, which is just incredible to have them so close to a centre.
Yes, I'd imagine they're sort of species that probably don't live that well too close to human contact regularly.
No.
It depends on the amount of traffic around them, I think is a big thing. Generally, if you're nice and quiet and don't make too much noise and keep pretty still, they're very inquisitive, actually. They'll come right up to you. But, there's quite a few around if you know where to look, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And ideally, back onto the self-drive around Tassie, should one go clockwise or anti-clockwise, or does it not really matter?
You're probably going to end up the same place and leave the same place, but often they come into Lonnie and go all the way around to Hobart and back, do a big circle around, which works pretty well.
Yeah.
But either way works.
Yeah.
We have a lot of clients that actually do self-drive themselves, and they stay up here for a couple of days and go out with us, and then they keep on going.
Yep. And I think that's an option, yeah.
If you're freelancing and you haven't pre-planned very much, I would look, and if any fronts are coming through, I would tend to go East Coast first, and then if it's more settled weather or northerly or northeasterly, then you hit the West Coast first, because that way the West Coast, again, a beautiful place, but I think it rains over 300 days a year there, and that's mainly our prevailing winds, the westerlies. So if it's blowing westerly, it's not bad to start on the east and hope that it's clearer when you go round. But, there we go.
Well, good insider knowledge for people that can do their research and understand weather patterns. That's fantastic. Thanks, Rob. And an ideal, I guess, length of stay. Some people is like 7 days. You can hit up most of the highlights in 7 days, or is 10 days better? What sort of would be an ideal time frame to do Tassie well?
You need a few weeks, and then even that wouldn't be enough eventually, I'm afraid. There's just so many unique little places and nooks and crannies around Tasmania, all over Tasmania, that you just get there and you think, well, and we quite often have clients say, I should have been here for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, not 1 week or 10 days.
Yep.
But we also find that a lot of them come back and keep coming back because once they discover Tasmania, they get hooked and they just want to see more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key is don't get in a car and just drive and think you can do it really quickly. I think it's better to go, even if you've only got a few days, into one region and really absorb and be part of that. And then, you know, as Craig just said, then you'll come back for longer knowing that that was so good. And, you know, what Tazi's got that no other state has is that you can get so far in a few hours from one end of the state to the other. So you're not driving all day to see one attraction. You can just plot on and, you know, an hour's drive and then spend a day or two in that area. And it's quite different to what you were looking at an hour or two behind. And so I think the key is just don't try and pack too much in a short time, and then come back when you've got more time.
That's good advice. Seasonality is a question that's just popped up. Is it, I mean, I love travelling year round to a destination and you just make the most of the climate of what's presented at the time. But is ideally, obviously they get a bit of snow sometimes in winter. Is there sections that are better toured at different times of the year?
The Cradle Mountain area in the winter time, sometimes I'll have heavy snowfall up there, so people do get stuck there and have to extend their stay, which is not a bad thing sometimes, I suppose. So as far as, you know, we do have cooler winters down here. Tasmanians are generally acclimatised to it. It doesn't seem to affect us much, but people used to the warmer weather probably won't block our winters.
And also, having said that, like if we have like clients from which are international, obviously, and they actually prefer to come at this time of year. So March, April, May, to me, is one of the best times in Tasmania. If you've got less people around, there's crisp mornings, you've got beautiful clear days. And I said, this is our winter uniform, summer uniform. So, and the wildlife everywhere, and just a stunning time of year.
Yeah. Rob, does the weather impact your cruises, or are you hug into the cliffs and quite sheltered when you're doing your cruises?
Look, we've got fairly good alternatives. We totally cancel about 10 days a year, and then we have a number of days, probably about 20 a year, that the weather's pretty wild, and we offer people either a full refund or come another day, or come on that day and we're honest about what you expect. Usually the bird life on the wild days is off the show because they love wind. Our prevailing wind for both of our products is offshore, so it can be blowing, 80 kilometres an hour and be dead calm compared to a 10 kilometre an hour wind from the ocean. And but there's certainly it is certainly true that weather affects our tours. I know Craig's done some pretty wild ones with me with his guests, but people go back out of those and usually exaggerate how wild it was over the next 10 years to their children and their friends, and then it becomes survival of the Southern Ocean, and it's a good story. But it's quite amazing when you get a beautiful blue sky day and no wind, and you see whales and dolphins and seals and heaps of bird life. People get off having really enjoyed it. But on the wild days where you may not get half the distance and see a tenth of what you would have seen, people always get off with their eyes bulging because it was such an incredible experience, and that is why why the scenery is so beautiful and rugged. It's the weather that shapes it that way. And so to see on those days has its own beauty. And we have repeat business that comes and they say, we'll only come if it's not like last time. We want it rough, So we get people who like everything, but we're honest. If people want calm weather and it's not calm, we allow cancellations right up to the morning of the tour, free of with 100% cancellation.
Okay. Under current climates, that's a great topic of conversation that we've been having with a lot of clients, is around the COVID issue and cancellations and prepayment policies. So I guess you're used to that already due to weather-based policy. So that's good to know. Yeah. Now, Craig, we've had someone ask about daylight saving, and does that impact on your nocturnal tours at all?
It just makes a later day of it. So summertime is not our favourite time, because you're adding 2 or 3 extra hours to the day.
Yep.
Quite late in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
But we still do the tours. We get to wait around a bit longer, and we depart a bit later in the day. So, say if you were self-driving, you'd have plenty of time to come to Cradle Mountain or Hobart to get up to Scottsdale, check in, relax, have a cup of tea and freshen up, and then we'll pick them up in the afternoon, and off we go. We get back about probably 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to see a lot of landscapes and no people and tons of wildlife.
Sounds awesome.
So it's not really a big issue. We just change the times of departure. When we get back, that's all. They go all year round.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've just about run out of time for this wonderful session. I'd like to thank you guys so much for joining us. It's just an awesome opportunity for people to listen in to some of the icons of Tassie and get the inside knowledge about some of the experiences there. Has anyone got a closing comment? Do you want to start with a closing comment, Rob, about your beautiful state, Tassie?
Oh, look, I think, obviously we've gone through a bit of a tough time and we're starting to come out of it, and we're looking forward to all the interstate and overseas people. Overseas won't be for a while yet, but the interstate people coming along and, to show off our special part of the world, and look forward to airfares coming back the way they were.
Yes, having strong airlines. It's going to be crucial to moving us all around, domestically and internationally, going into the future. Thank you very much, Rob. We've got Craig, Ben, got any closing comments?
I think Ben's just dying to say a few words.
I'm not big on the camera scene. Just come to Tassie and spend a bit of time with us so my dad doesn't have to sack me.
Awesome. Okay, Simon, you got any closing comments?
Not really. I mean, I'm in awe of the knowledge of these guys, and having known Tasmania, I've had family in Tasmania for my entire life, so it's one of the most special places in the world. And yeah, I would just mirror everything everyone said. It's a very special place to visit. Yeah, don't underestimate it, and get there as soon as you can. Fantastic. So for those that have been listening, reach out to us. We're ready to rock and roll with putting itineraries together. We'll look at I've already got some sample itineraries combining both products and other experiences in Tasmania ready to go. So anyone that's keen on organising travel plans, get in touch with us ASAP and we'll pull something together. And thanks again, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and enjoy a nice glass of Tassie Vino tonight.
Thank you. Cheers.
Alrighty. Thanks.
Caroline. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye.